Good day, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the OffGridEnclave. In this video I will be presenting my chicken enclosure, a chicken house with attached outside roaming area. As it was built rather solid with a lot of security in mind, it is locally known as the chicken bunker. The position was chosen so in the morning and in the evening they will get plenty of sun, but during the heat of the day they will get shadow. As you can see, it is about 3 o'clock and all of the chicken enclosure is nicely in the shadow of the trees. The chicken house has two very big windows for proper ventilation. The alignment of the windows was chosen so the wind does not blast straight through them but gives a gentle ventilating breeze. As you can already see, the chicken house and the outside enclosure has plenty of electric fencing wired all around it. This was done not only to protect against my own wolf dogs, but also we have foxes, minks and all sorts of other predators around the area. Of course, the chicken bunker has its own solar system. For solar input I have two 67.5 watt thin layer panels. For the construction I refurbished bunch of materials I had spare from my main construction site. More on that later and in detail. As a finishing layer for the outside I used rolled bitumen. This gives a very good resistance against water and the elements. As the main construction material is wood, I simply stapled the bitumen rolls onto the sides. Further down the line I might apply some layer of paint on that. The long part of the side construction is old window elements. To cover these I used multiple layers of rabbit wire. For the outside fencing I went with a rather elaborate system. Due to the mentioned predators I need to make sure that the fence really holds up. I went with a 3-stage fence system. First off is a normal metal mesh fence at about 1 meter 50 height. At the ground level of that I then went ahead and added another layer of rabbit wire fence that is about 1 meter in height and has a much tighter mesh. The electric fence then goes on top of that and extends all the way around. As you can see, I used these orange sticks to make sure that the electric fence and the mesh wire don't connect during storms or wind. Another factor of the bright orange lines is that the dogs are well aware of their function. As you can see, the gang is out at the moment and is roaming. As fence poles I used these old steel tubes with about 4 mm of material strength. I digged holes about half a meter deep, then threw some stones and concrete in there and slapped the stick in. Each of the fence poles is connected on ground level with another steel tube that is also connected via the concrete. I specifically added that on the ground level to make it much harder to dig under the fence. To further increase the resistance against digging predators, I added tent hooks with about 35 cm length every 15 cm and slammed them good into the ground. As front end for the chicken outside enclosure, I chose this big element made out of steel tubings, which conveniently had an opening mechanism with a gate attached to it. Around the gate area I did make a little foundation to make sure that that corner is holding properly. Furthermore, around the tubes that connect on the ground level I did slab a bunch of concrete about every meter. The plan is, as my main construction site will continue, every time I have spare concrete I will be adding a bit more to this ground level foundation. Over time all the fenced area will have a proper foundation on the bottom level. So let me show you guys the area and give a chance to have a look at the gang. The device you see here is a chicken drinking bucket. Basically a bucket you fill with water, put on a special lid, turn it around, and because the lid has a small hole, it gravity feeds the water into the outside drinking area. These things are rather robust and quite easy to use and easy to clean. For my chickens, they store water for about 5 days. I have another one of these on the inside that is a bunch bigger. On this side of the housing, I tried to put the electric fence outside of the reach of the chickens. As we enter the inside, I should add some small disclaimers here. The inside design is not finalized yet and was built to house and accommodate one mother hen with 9 babies. Right after entry on the left side, you can see an old drawer I filled with sand, so the chickens can do a little bit of sand bathing there, or pick up little stones for their digestive system. Furthermore, we do have 2 more chicken drinking buckets and 2 chicken granulat feeders. The overall size of the chicken house is about 2 on 3.5 meters. That gives the inside about 7 square meters of ground area. As temporary housing for the mother hen and her 9 babies, I refurbished this old drawer I found. The mother hen as well as the babies have well accepted this construction and are using it every night. As you can see, the egg production already started. Basically, the whole compartment in the end will still get reworked. I will be constructing a proper chicken housing with isolation for the winter there. To house the solar system with its battery and fuses in a reasonable safe condition, and to further add some reinforcing parts to the front of the housing, I added this drawer on the wall. When I open it up, you can see our neat little solar system. What we have here is a pretty simple 56 ampere hour car battery, a pretty basic 20 ampere solar charge controller, and 2 breakers, one for the solar connection and one from the charge controller to the battery. The whole system is connected with simple clamps. Same goes for the electric fence buzzer. As the buzzer barely uses 5 watts, the roundabout 130 watt solar should be good to cover it even in bad conditions. Battery looks good, so let's close this. Let's talk a bit about the construction materials that I used to build this. The 3.50 m long sides of the building have been constructed out of elements that used to be window frames. To cover the open areas, I refurbished a lot of old IKEA furniture. These plates are about 2 to 3 centimeters in thickness, however they are usually bad in quality because it is only pressed wood. This is why I furthermore reinforced them against the elements from the outside using bitumen rolls. This pretty much goes for both sides of the building. For the end part, where further down the line the construction for the chicken night housing will come, I used pallets to make sure that I have a reasonable solid wall. On top of the pallets I then used 3 cm thick pressed wood plates. For the other 2-meter wall that is facing the front of the building, I chose to refurbish 3 doors. 2 of the doors are hard mounted as wall, and one of the doors you can see opens. As roofing material I chose sheet metal plates. Those are reasonable strong and give a reasonable good resistance to the elements. To place the sheet metal roofing I constructed a rather simple frame out of random boards. Most of these boards are between 2 and 3 centimeters in thickness. First I constructed the wooden parts of the building with the framing, and afterwards I added some concrete under the wooden parts as a foundation. Like I did with the fence, I used tent hooks of about 35 centimeters length and put them into the ground every 15 to 20 centimeters to give a reasonable protection against digging predators. The big yellow cable you see here is not the live wire feeding the electric fence, but it is the grounding of the electric fence buzzer. This is required so the buzzer works properly. I put one ground connection right outside at the door, and the other one outside of the fenced area. As you made it this far into the video already, consider leaving a like if you enjoyed this content. If you're interested to read more about this or many other projects as well as off-grid living in general, check out our homepage. If you have input, questions, or just looking for a place to hang out and talk, don't be shy, hop on our Discord. I'll put a link down there in the description. I will be showing you guys some stages of the construction, so you get an idea of how I built this thing and what materials I used exactly. As the mother hen and her 9 babies pretty much moved in on day 1, I had to fast forward some steps of the construction. You can see here how I started with the wooden frameworks and added a bunch of concrete on the bottom of that. The basic window wiring is there, and the door is also present, as well as the basic accommodations for the chickens. This was the first day for the chickens here on the site. As the babies were still rather small, barely 2 weeks old, I made sure the mom had some nesting material and a proper housing to keep them warm. As you can see, the inside arrangements were still quite temporary and had to be done on the quick. However, they did quite well for a few days and the chickens were quite happy with them. I must see to sneak peek the camera into the nest here, and as you can see, the chickens are still very small at this point. From that stage onwards, it took about 5 more days to finish up the chicken house in total. I added about 4 more days to build the outside perimeters. I will show you the remaining construction progress in some photos and some videos. I'll put some music in the background there. Thanks you all for watching, enjoy your day and make it count.